Hello, and welcome to Therapist Plays How Fish is Made. Okay, this was a nice little addendum to the mouthwashing series that we just played. So if for some reason you're coming to this on its own, yeah, I just did a whole analysis series on mouthwashing, which you should definitely check out. So How Fish is Made, an interesting little experience. Kind of an interesting portrayal of like anxiety and groupthink and like how terrible we become at trying to solve problems when we have anxiety. And it's a great time for me because normally I help people with all of that stuff. But usually in these games, I get to like demonstrate the problems with things by causing them, which is quite a good time. So we're gonna make some fish pretty anxious. And then I will teach you how we might actually deal with those problems. So I hope you enjoy this little addendum to mouthwashing with How Fish is Made. Okay, I've got my coping cat. I'm ready to learn how fish is made. Hello. Oh, hello. You just dropped? Tell me, are you going up or down? You'll have to make up your mind by the end. Even the oiliest of us have to, so don't flatter yourself with your choice. Where am I going? Don't worry about that. So which is it? Up or down? I think I'm going down. Let's go down. Are you sure? No, I guess I'm not sure. What is my purpose in this world? By the way, the machine can't talk to you, so you shouldn't talk to it. Okay. Well, I prefer to see if I can make my own choice. And what have we got here? Another person in the same circumstance. Up, up, up. You look like a smart guy. You also know the way is one way, and that way is up, and it ain't no two ways about it. I've always known it was up. I never asked. I never changed. Never lied. Let me hear you sing it. I like to hear it. Where you going? Where you going? I'm going down. What'd you say? Come again? I'm going down. Wonder what will happen to you. Will it hurt? Will it stop? Oh well. Okay, immediately I have to like wonder, especially knowing the connection to mouthwashing, like what is the sort of literal space the game wants me to live in here, and what is the metaphorical space? If I think about being a fish, which I don't often do, but will for the purpose of this little exercise. I mean, fish are inherently like pro-social creatures. By instinct. They swim in schools, right? They tend to follow the same stream, right? I guess that's what it's talking about, upstream, downstream. And so like there's an inherent tie, like socially, biologically, instinctually to am I doing the right thing? Am I swimming with the current, you know, with the other fish? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing for survival or navigation or relocation or to head to the area with abundant resources or like whatever, right? If I'm thinking, if I put myself into the mindset of a fish, I'm an inherently pro-social creature. Now, humans, theoretically, are pro-social creatures. We also do a similar thing, right? Pro-social behaviors are what allowed us to realize the benefits of collaboration, reciprocity, right? Doing something for someone in the hopes that they might do something for you in return. It helped us build communities. It helped us conquer the world, right? You would think that pro-social behavior then is a very helpful thing for our survival and mental health. However, what we often see is because we're smart enough to do so, we can sort of reject this evolutionary advantage and engage in antisocial behavior. which would be self-serving behaviors. It would be dishonest behaviors. We could call it exploitative, like seeking personal advantage, isolationist, all kinds of stuff, right? And it doesn't even need to be malicious. Antisocial behavior could just be like, I'm withdrawing from, you know, my community because I'm feeling depressed, right? Antisocial in the context that I'm talking about, it just means like literally not engaging in social activities, right? I'm not thinking in like the clinical diagnostic term necessarily in this exact moment, right? Maybe we'll break into that. But yeah, I'm a fish, but I also know that I'm sort of metaphorically a human. At least I'm a human pretending to be a fish at this exact moment. So like, what I'm curious about is how are we going to see that dynamic play out? This fish is curious about whether we're going to follow the pro-social activity of swimming, let's say upstream. But I'm going to engage in the antisocial, perhaps self-serving or need for my own agency type of defiance that says, I'm just going to do what everyone else isn't so that I can feel like an individual and that I have some control over my life when I actually have none. Ah, what fortune that we should meet. Do not be foiled by that one. He's lost, like so many are. We can only poetry them. I see you're in all of my throne of inspiration. Is he in like a... Is that like a plastic? Like the fucking things that keep sodas together? It clung to me suddenly one day, much like all my ideas do, complete and undeniable. Undentable. Complete and undentable. No. Take it in as much as you like. It is a confirmation of my most oily brain. Do tell, what blind groping has brought you to your choice? Be forewarned. I did a lot of thinking to know which is indeed the correct way. All answers come to me very quickly. Such is my burden. Would you like to know? It might change your entire word view. My worldview. It is down. Yes, this I know for sure. But how, I hear you ask? Let me explain. No. It is simply too complex for you to fathom. My methods are beyond simple minds. I have never, ever thought of a single reason to question myself. Can you believe it? No, you cannot. I am elated to have saved you from making a father embarrassment of yourself. This is great. Just think of me as your guide, mentor, and sage. You're welcome. So you can see like the, whether real or imagined, empowerment that like going against the grain or feeling that you have like acquired some special knowledge, or like the more intelligent we start to become, the more we sort of try to look at individuality and ask the question of like, oh, is being too pro-social like bad for my ability to be ahead of someone else, either in ideas, thought, power, possessions, like all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's not hard to imagine how this can sort of like poison your mindset into thinking that like somehow being pro-social is anti-individual, right? I certainly don't think so. I think you can be an individual with your own thoughts, your own beliefs, your own agenda, and still be pro-social. But that would require thinking with some nuance and in more than one dimension of your personality, which this gentleman seems to be having a hard time with. So let's just flop over here and see where it takes us. So one of the things that immediately comes to mind for me when I'm thinking like difference between pro-social, antisocial, and how do you remain an individual is like competition. Okay. Competition amongst fish, man, cats, anyone in an ecosystem, a shared ecosystem, right? Like competition can be a very pro-social thing. It doesn't need to be something related to like dominance or like defeating someone you know, to make them worse off. Like, you can compete in a very healthy way, right? And the fact that you might win or lose at that, like, inherently means you're an individual. You don't have to give that up to be pro-social and still, like, have fun, have a shared common goal. The goal being, like, to enjoy the competition, not necessarily to destroy the other person, right? But for the same activity, that competition can be quite antisocial too, especially when you think of like workplace environments, right? Which we know that mouthwashing is has some strong themes of that, where competition is not just about, do I have a higher paying salary than someone else, but do I have the favor of my supervisors? Do I get away with the things that I want to? Do I feel like someone else's success inherently must mean that I am losing something? Or is it not really relevant? Like, if someone is doing better, does that mean I am actually doing worse? Or those independent things? Like, unfortunately, companies like you to think like this. They want you to feel competitive for, like, in the not so great way. Lots of them do anyways. And you can see this in the way that mouthwashing positioned, like, the crisis. Whatever was happening was like, oh, everyone's pay is being docked, right? That breeds like very unhealthy, competitive, antisocial attitudes between crew members who kind of need pro-social behaviors and dynamics to survive that situation, right? Like, you can see that a lot of that crisis in mouthwashing broke out because of, you're in an environment that requires pro-social attitudes, but is actually encouraging antisocial ones. And the people who tried to be pro-social, let's say Daisuke, Anya, the more antisocial behaviors of someone like Jimmy, thwarted that. Ah! Oh, hello. The way's over there. I don't know what to do. My family went up, but my best bud said that down is the correct choice. The family is big but distant in their togetherness, but the big group together is safest. It's the bestest truth. Why would he do this to me? Down is wrong. I can feel it between my shiniest flakes. We've swam together since both of us were but scrampy things, but how can I know if he'll agree to always be my friend? No one cares about how I feel. Not even him. I don't want to choose if I can't know exactly how it will turn out. Look at the paranoia it stokes as well. The anxiety. You. Which way should I go? Up with the family or down with my buddy? Ooh, this is a tough choice. So when you think about anxiety, and I know I have a habit of allowing for a fictional character to remain in a state of discomfort for a very long time so that I can analyze them, but this fish is unfortunately the victim. He's quite anxious, as you can see. Physically, you can see that. A lot of times anxiety is just about not having information. Imagine you're lost, right? You don't know where you are, but then suddenly, like, you're able to, I don't know, get a signal, look up a GPS, and you know where you are. Like, your anxiety is going to go down, right? Let's say that you went to an interview and you don't know whether you got the job. Even if you don't get the job, you may be disappointed by that, but your anxiety about whether or not you're going to get it is going to go away, right? You may have anxiety about something else that follows that, but, like, usually information and perceived level of control is what's kind of modulating this, right? And this gentleman here clearly is struggling with both of those. One, the sense of control over I could potentially make the wrong choice, right? And not knowing what the consequences are. He knows there may be consequences, but he doesn't know even what they are, which makes the choice even harder, right? This gives us like that choice paralysis where it's hard to just make a decision because good or bad, we have no frame of reference for what is a good or bad decision other than we know someone else chose differently. Like that, that makes me anxious. It makes me sad for this fellow. And so, like, that's one of the things that pro-social behavior is quite good for, is like you can go to someone else and say like, hey, I'm struggling to make this decision. You're a part of the same, I guess, species, but you're, better said, you're in the same situation I am. You have to make this choice too. What would you do? They don't know whether I am an authority on this decision or not. They just want information, and they want to feel like someone else is making a similar kind of choice. Which way should I go? Up with the family or down with my buddy? Brady says probably go with your family. But roleplay Brady, who is a fish today, probably is gonna say stick with what I'm doing, you know? Take me out of the picture, right? I'm just the fish. I just passed a man who was endowed with a beautiful throne, who seemed very knowledgeable and very secure, very secure, totally not insecure, about his decision. And he said down is the way, I believe. So I also think that it's down because of recency bias, which is another interesting psychological thing. Because I heard it last, and perhaps multiple times, and I've already told someone else. I don't want to be a hypocrite, so I'm going to tell him down. Really? I've been so stupid. I can't make decisions for myself. My buddy always told me as much. Anxiety. He'll be angry when I join him, but he always tells me how to earn his forgiveness. I won't make this mistake again. Oh, how wonderful, how good. This freedom of certainty. What did I just say? What did I just say, right? Whether I'm correct or not, just feeling like he has more information, and it doesn't even know if it's the right information, tends to help in this situation, which is like part of the point of therapy. In my long-running advertisement for the benefits of mental health. Therapists don't solve your problems for you. What they do is help you find out information about those problems. And now sometimes that information is an external thing, like have you tried thinking differently about the situation you're in or whatever. But some of it is about like, oh, let's dig into your history. Let's understand why you have this pattern of behavior. And some people are like, well, what is learning something about my past and the pattern of my behavior going to do for me? Well, it's going to give you information. If nothing else, like that helps with anxiety. You know, and the less anxiety you have, the more likely you are to come to a better conclusion or have better problem-solving skills. So think about that when we're going through stuff like this. Like information, whether it's accurate or not, often helps with anxiety, and that can get tricky because maybe you have the wrong information. Boy, he's still stressed out though. By the way, you're going the same way, right? Imagine I told him no. I kind of have to just to see. Watch the freak out, because now the information I gave him is like incompatible. Oh, should I? My stomach hurts. But what if I have to go? Excuse me. Oh, I'm so sorry, fish. What have I done? No, for the sake of educating the populace on anxiety, I've unknowingly caused a panic attack in one of my fellow fish friends. I hope it was worth it for you all to see that play out. Oh, this is just okay. Okay, clearly I'm not as oily as my friend on the throne, because I made a suspicious lack of noise doing that. Behold! What did we do to deserve bearing witness to such glory? It must mean something. But what? What is it trying to say? Oh! I've groped through my noggin. I've eyed every detail. I don't understand the message. There must be a way out of this creature's stomach. The answer is here. It looks down upon us. What is it revealing? Down. Yes! Yes! I see it. Can you see it? It has to be. Behold! Behold! It swallowed us down, so we must keep going down. First, I must get inside. I must be cleansed by this untainted substance. Join me. Wash with me in this purity. What is that? Oh, to be chosen for such sublime anointment. I truly envy him. I must become worthy. Okay. What is this? Is that like the intestine? Or something? Okay. Stomach. So we're inside some sort of creature. Creature or some sort of machine. What are you doing? Don't touch that! Somebody help me! Help! Ah! Oh, there's a fish friend stuck in the gears there. Oh! Oh! Please help me. It's embarrassing, but I thought I had found the gills of this creature that swallowed us. So I figured I'd wriggle my way out through them. But who would have thought? They were not gills. If it's not too much of a bother, could you unstuck me? Thank you ever so much for your kindness. Wait, hold on. This is important. Whatever you do, just make sure not to touch that round, red, glowing thing over there, okay? Thanks. Whew, what a relief. I thought I might be stuck here forever. Okay, do you have any ideas on solutions, friend? I can barely feel my fins. Are they still there? I don't think I can flop my way through in time. I can try. No. Well, the thing is I don't really have a choice, friend. I'm not seeing any other way through this dilemma of my own. So I'm gonna have to do the thing you said don't do. I know that's a pretty antisocial behavior, but I really gotta look out for myself, you know? Oh my god! I'm a horrible fish. I am an actual monster. I've caused someone a panic attack. I've brutalized this poor fellow. Well, I guess I'll just keep going. You can see how antisocial attitudes help. It's a sort of momentum. The deeper I get into this mindset, the less I am even sensitized to when I make a choice that is not a pro-social one. As in, not necessarily for the common good. And it makes it harder for me to relate to someone in my similar circumstance, right? When I look at that situation and I do sort of the evaluation from my scaly perspective here, I'm thinking, we're both in the same dilemma. We're both basically trapped. He can't do anything about it, but I can. So, I have more control over the situation than he does. I'll start reasoning, well, he would make the same decision if he were me. And we push the button. And we feel good about it. Not only do we feel fine, we feel good. I'm going the correct way. You know, these people that we've passed, these fish, they're only in these situations because they were going the wrong way. They got stuck. They had a panic attack. Because they chose wrong. What am I getting myself into here? What sort of weird predicament is my next fish friend gonna be in? Oh, is that a parasite? Aha! What fortune that you dropped into this most productive of places. Him? Why, me and my friendo here go way back. I ate his tongue, and we've been co-workers ever since. I'll bet you we have a lot of learnings we can share. I always say you have to get passionate about something. Me? I'm passionate about friendship. I want to be there for people as much as possible. It's like my buddy here always says, teamwork is the soul of success. I think that's beautiful. Okay, so we've got another friend of pro-social attitudes here. No, well, by golly, I've been struck by the most brilliant of ideas. Would you mind if I incentivized you with a little musical stylings of my own creation? I would not mind that at all, actually. My friendo does so enjoy a little show tune here and there. Alrighty then, hold on to your gills. Oh yeah, this is the stuff I came for. This is what it's all about. Here's to comedy and ultra-effective combinations. Here's to holding grudges. Just living with it. Do fish feel pain? Oh yes, you'll be buried with it. Do right, follow that plan. On the side of the can. Do what they couldn't. Tell him, friendo. I'm in a hole on the stage. This is kind of a bop. Just in awe of this. Okay. That was a musical about a parasite living on this fish's tongue. Woohoo! Well, buddy, how we feeling? Synced with success? Aligned with ambition? Yeah, I actually do feel a little more aligned. No doubt about it, my buddy. My pal! I dare say I snuck a little bit of my core competence in you. You'll feel that real soon. Don't you worry. Did I get parasited? Okay, keep it moving, pal. I've just been discarded like I'm nothing. I mean, what can I say? I don't have a friendship like the parasite and his buddy there. Should I have one of those? Should I be looking to have my my tongue occupied by a sing-song friend? Maybe. Maybe I should do that. Okay. Where am I flip-flopping to next? Oh no. Well, this just doesn't concern me. Sucks to be them. Yeah, again, I'm trying to get into my character's head here, as I always do. What are we experiencing? We're experiencing a lot of other fish's misfortune and delusions and denials. But we're sticking with the perception that we're like headed for better things. I could be totally wrong about that. I mean, we've gotten no like internal dialogue. Why do you deserve it? Will you be able to live with it? Try and try and try and try and try again. Those double action hinges have always been there, just for you, right? You'll come back. Everyone does. Weak. Or you'll go looking, one way or another, right? Weak. Okay. Okay. Where is this going? Where? I've seen enough. I've seen enough now. I want to be illuminated myself. I want to be enlightened by all those people that I just saw. When is it my turn to become something more? It's time. Choose. Should I go down? At this moment, you know, I've been building this up and telling everybody around me that I should be going down, but I don't know. Maybe if I do enough, like, twisting of my own perception, I could convince myself that part of why all those other fish failed or ended up in their predicaments was not just because they chose wrong, but because they hesitated. And hesitation is true weakness. Maybe I could convince myself of that. So no, I'm not going to think about it. I will trust that my instincts have steered me right, as they always have before, because I, as a fish, am an instinctual creature. And I don't have to know why, I just have to do. I see. Do you understand yet? This privilege of choice that has been given to a worthless critter like you. that is the gift, not the outcome. Did the uncertainty scare you? Yes, in a sense. Or does it scare you more to know there is no choice for you at all? Then all of this would have been for nothing. But you wouldn't feel it better? But wouldn't it feel better? Don't flatter yourself. I'll tell you a secret. You've already made your choice. This is not about making a decision. This is a test of conviction. I knew it! It's the hesitators. The ones who have no personality. Have you strayed from your path? Have you been honest and true to your truth, even to others? Yeah. Oh, no. I did lie. I did lie to the anxious fish in order to prove a point about anxiety. Did you believe me just now? I'm just a fish in an imposing room. Good enough, right? I guess it is. I guess I did sort of apply some probably unwarranted elevation to this conversation because of where it's taking place in the music. And yeah, you're no fucking better than me, pal. I'm gonna turn my back to you. I wouldn't eat any of those. They taste awful. What? Those things? Okay. Whatever. Nerd. Okay. I guess that was not the moment of my enlightenment. Perhaps I've already had it. Okay, what do we got here? Big fish. Oh. This is really it, huh? I'll level with you. Ain't real sure I can do this. Did you run into that smart-talking fella earlier? He sure did seem to know what he was talking about. Here I've been always thinking I'm the biggest thing in the water. Look at me now, a big old boy shivering like a scramp out in the blue. Anyway, I thought keeping track of how many fish went in or either direction could help. Not sure it did at all, let me tell you. See, again, another individual trying to, with very little information, or I guess like trying to get more information, even if the information isn't that meaningful, to reduce his own sort of anxiety. And anxiety is like kind of an interesting thing, right? I'm sort of seeing that that's one of the themes of what we're talking about here. So a little note on anxiety, right? A big part of what determines how much of it you tend to have is due to your, actually as the game put it, uncertainty tolerance. Like how much are you able to tolerate uncertainty? Can you make a choice not knowing how it's going to work out? Or does that cause you distress, right? When we don't have a ton of this, we tend to avoid things, right? Like we'll sit here before we make a choice, counting how many people made the choice ahead of us to try to like create a situation where we're no longer uncertain. But it's like totally fiction because none of the fish making the choice know what's going to happen either. It doesn't matter if 10 of them went down and 15 of them went up. None of the fish making the choice knew anything more. So looking at this number and saying like, oh, that's the choice I should make because more people did that, it doesn't actually make you any more certain. It just makes you aware of what other people did. Other people who had the same lack of information that you did. But you can see how like maddening this is. And paralyzing. Like clearly he can't move himself forward because he's trying to wait out and see like if this number is like really substantial or whatever, maybe that's enough. But you have no idea. This could be the right choice. Like it's an exercise that like tries to manufacture certainty to lower your anxiety. And your anxiety can lower, but it's not based on like necessarily good information, right? And it didn't teach you to tolerate uncertainty. It taught you to fabricate certainty so that you're no longer avoiding something, right? This is usually what I'm thinking of when I'm sitting in front of someone who might say something like, I'm not an anxious person, right? When we assess for anxiety in the therapeutic process, we might have someone take something called the GAD-7, which is a 7-question inventory measuring someone's potential for like a generalized anxiety disorder, GAD. And we're looking for that because like anxiety is a normal thing for people, right? It's your anticipation of a problem. It's not about a problem that's necessarily right in front of you, right? That's more what I would distinguish as like a fear. Fear is about something that is really happening to you. And anxiety is about your anticipation of something that is fearful, right? But it's usually about something that hasn't happened yet, something in the future, right? A lot of what ifs, or should I do this, right? It's about not knowing the outcome, right? This whole lack of certainty about the future. That's normal. It's normal to have anxiety. Generalized anxiety, when it becomes disorderly, where we get the disorder part, is when it is pervasive in like multiple areas. So if I'm anxious about an interview or anxious about a test, and that test has a big impact on my future, that's not a disorder. That's just anxiety about something scary. Generalized anxiety is when I'm anxious about the test and also like how much food is in my pantry and whether or not I locked my cats in the bathroom before I left unknowingly, and like I'm anxious about everything all the time. And to a disproportionate level as well. Like it's not just pervasive, but it's quite overtuned, right? That's where we start to say, oh, this is disorderly anxiety. But people are not always the best self-reports of this, right? You ask someone, are you a highly anxious person, or do you worry about things a lot? And they'll say something like, no, right? They don't see themselves as an anxious person. They won't self-identify that. But consider that a lot of anxious behavior is not always going to be obvious, even to the person. So let's just say that I'm the type of person who, when I get in my car, I'm looking at my gas tank, and my gas tank is full, okay? And it's always full. If you're a passenger in my car, you look over, you see I always have gas, right? When I go down one block, let's say maybe even two, I fill it back up, okay? And I always do this. And you would never look at that behavior and outwardly, obviously say that, you know, Brady is a person who's anxious about his gas. Like, you just wouldn't see that. Unless you're in my car all the time, which we're not in people's lives all the time. We only see snippets of them. But like every time you got in my car, it wouldn't stick out to you necessarily that like, I always have a full tank of gas. You might even think I'm responsible, right? And on average, you're not gonna see that behavior show up as like, oh my God, I'm in a disaster. Like, no, like, okay, I realized I don't have like a full tank of gas. Let me just go fill it up. I don't even think it's an anxious thing. I'm just being a good planner, right? Okay, now I'm in a situation where I get in my car and I have half a tank. Now you will start to see this behavior show up where like I will stop doing anything. I will be late to an appointment to fill this up because my tolerance of uncertainty is not very high for this particular situation, let's say. Like, I will start worrying about, well, what if I have to drive somewhere, a friend is in need? What if I have to make it to the hospital or what, like, who knows? I will start coming up with scenarios that demand I attend to this so that I don't have to be in a situation where I don't have like the resources or information to respond to it. And so let's say that because this is like not that significant of a problem, I just don't run into that all that often. Most of the time when I'm driving, I will get my gas tank filled up. I'll get my car washed, whatever. It's like just normal behaviors. On the rare occasion where it goes down, now I start to panic. Now I start to have this overcompensation. And so most people, they have something in their life that looks kind of like that they don't know, and most people in their lives may not know, like that's a highly anxious area for them, right? So sometimes anxiety can be quite invisible. That's why it's about anticipation of problems. That's why when we assess it, we look for its pervasiveness. Are you doing this with your gas tank and also the food in your pantry and your clothes in the laundry room? Sometimes you look at people's lives and certain things, they don't stick out to anybody, but they stick out to me because I'm like, tell me what would happen if you got in your car and there was only 1 bar of gas in there. And they'd say, oh, that's never happened to me. They wouldn't immediately say, oh, I would panic, because they don't even know that. It's never happened to them. They would never allow it to happen because they'd be way too anxious for it, right? So imagine for me what it would be like. Well, I can't see why I would ever get to that point, because whenever I am down, I always fill it, right? Like, you can see that like assessing for anxiety is not always easy. People don't just say, yeah, I'm super anxious all the time. I worry about getting low on gas. The questions in the GAD-7 are somewhat indirect about this sort of thing. They ask things like, when you worry about things, do you tend to have a hard time stopping or controlling those worries? When you worry about things, is it usually one thing or is it multiple things, right? It's less about like, how much anxiety do you have? It's more about when you have it, how do you respond to it? Do you tend to respond immediately because you won't even allow yourself the opportunity to be in a situation where uncertainty could throw you off? And if you were looking at your gas tank like this and you had somewhere to be, would you avoid, as this fish is doing, like any action at all? Like, I simply won't go because like I have enough gas to get there, but I don't want to be in a situation where I have to make an extra stop that I didn't expect and not be able to get home. It really impacts their decision making, their decisiveness. It creates this hesitation. It creates this information gap where we will do things to try to get as much information as we possibly can, even if the information isn't helpful, which is kind of what we're seeing here. Maybe some false security in what's happening, and it doesn't seem to be helping really. Reckon you want to hear how many have gone each way. Yeah, let's see what he says, right? You sure? Might be best to just follow your gut at this point. Well, perhaps having the information could make me second guess, right? Yes, I want to know. Alrighty, by my count, 199 fish have gone up and 474 have gone down. Now let's see what he says about this. Does this make him... Does he realize that this information basically means nothing? Ain't all this just worse than a loose flake in your gill? Well, hell. If I can't help myself at this point, maybe I could at least give you a better chance, partner. How about I go on and skadoodle into one of them and just holler out real loud the first thing I notice? What you think about that? Heck, it's so stupid, it just might be genius! Look at us, two big old oily friends making our own dank errands. Alright, hit me. Which way, partner? Fuck it, let's go down. Let's follow the artificial path of certainty. Let me tell you before I go, partner. You made a dumb old fish feel real big again right at the end. For a small little thing, you're looking real big too right about now. Ha! That's what I'm talking about. Hoorah! It's go time! Catch you on the flip side, partner. Okay. Is he gonna holler it out for us like he said he would? Or did he just fall into like a meat grinder? Partner, here I go, listen up! Wee! It feels soft. That's it? Okay, it doesn't make me any more secure in my decision. Well, here we are. I think down was the blue option. No? Yes, down. Fuck it, I'm committed now. I have to see where this leads me. Everyone else did it. You know, I always hated hearing, don't worry, a lot of people are going through the same thing. You're not alone. There's this selfish barbed wire inside my chest that coils up at that. No, my pain is more tragic, grander, deeper. If only you knew. It's not true, of course. I hate talking about it because I hate people who talk about it. And that's not very nice. That's not okay. That's not how you can be all about this. It's not romantic, but at least it's true. Don't worry, a lot of people are going through the same thing. And that's what makes it the best USP yet. Thanks for playing. Can anything beat home cooking straight off the conveyor belt? These fish are so fresh, they might just give you a little wink and jump right off the plate into your mouth. Ain't no meal that can't be kicked into high gear with the addition of nature's own flavor torpedoes. So indulge in the oiliest, saltiest sardines served every day by our ingeniously creative kitchen artists. Take pride in knowing you helped bring these little troopers to our plates. Friends, that's not flattery, that's a fact. Okay, so let's make some connections here between what we just experienced and mouthwashing, right? And talk a little bit about like the anxiety of the characters. How did they sort of sort this stuff out? Like, what did they experience, right? Think about their profile as a person. How much could they tolerate uncertainty? I actually think the person who dealt with their anxiety the best, probably not for the best reason, but probably the best, was Daisuke. And that's because he kept a space for optimism even as things continued to get worse. And he didn't allow the uncertainty about what was going to happen sort of like paralyze him from looking for the next move to make, right? Now I say maybe that wasn't the best because it does come from some naivety, right? He was tolerating the uncertainty of the situation. In fact, he was like keeping himself quite lighthearted and optimistic and forward-thinking and solutions-oriented throughout it. Very impressed with Daisuke's management of his anxiety, Again, that is not the same thing as making good choices. It just means he was managing his anxiety about them very well. Those two things combined are obviously preferable, right? Someone like Swansea, you can see that he actually became very certain very early on that things were not going to get better. And that's where he wasn't feeling particularly anxious, but the way he was tolerating the situation wasn't great either, right? He experienced a relapse. He started drinking again. There was a couple times where he looked for the right solution or was at least caring for someone else like Daisuke or Anya, or at least trying to impair Jimmy's authority at times, right? Still trying to do the right thing, let's say. But he became very certain early on that things weren't going to get better. In that sense, he's someone who, his like cynicism would have been a lot of help if he were like trying to find more solutions to the problem like Daisuke was, right? Daisuke was looking for solutions, but he was somewhat naive and too trusting, and so he wasn't anxious because he didn't realize the threat to him, right? Listening to Jimmy. Swansea wasn't anxious, but he actually could have used a little more anxiety, because actually anxiety will cause you to have behaviors, right? Like filling up my gas tank is a good thing. I will have more gas. Let's not make a judgment about whether that behavior is good or not. We're making judgment about like, is the behavior healthy compensation for the circumstances? In a normal sense, yeah, when your gas is low, you should fill it up. Do you worry so much about that to the point of never letting it get low because you don't know how to tolerate the uncertainty of that? Different thing, right? Some anxiety is good. It will spring you into action. Too much anxiety and in every area of life is not good. Not having enough to get you to take initiative is how we end up becoming more depressed than anxious, right? And I think Swansea was definitely suffering from that at the end. There was not enough of this, what could happen if things don't go well, to spur him into action, because he already decided that things weren't going well and that there was nothing that could be done, right? So a little bit of anxiety actually would have been better. You can have too much uncertainty tolerance. Think about it like this. If my tolerance to uncertainty or distress is at a 0, that's not great, because then I never make choices, like any choices, unless I know exactly what the outcome will be, right? I will be completely paralyzed. I'll avoid most situations where I have to make a choice for myself. I'll rely on other people. Having too little of this, you're not going to be very effective in most situations. At the same time, having too much isn't great either. If I tolerate uncertainty too well, I'm very brave, but perhaps too brave, right? What you often see in these situations is someone can tolerate distress to a point where it is unhealthy. Someone in an abusive relationship tolerates distress and uncertainty too much, right? Because here is something really distressing. Someone is abusing you, is harmful to you, threatening you, all kinds of negative things, right? But if you're too tolerant to that, there's not enough worry about yourself or how you would survive if you were no longer in that relationship. Could you be independent? To spur you into action to changing it, right? You can become so tolerant to the distress and the uncertainty that you stay in a harmful situation. And that creates its own kind of inaction. So there is avoidance and inaction on both ends of the extreme here, right? You actually kind of want something in the middle that says, yeah, some uncertainty is hard for me to tolerate. Like, I don't want to find out what it's like when I have to make a long drive and I don't have a ton of gas in my tank, right? So let me go fill it up before that becomes a reality, right? I'm talking about gas because I was just filled it up after it was like pretty low, right? So it's on my mind. But it's a good metaphor or an example. That's okay. It's okay to have a little bit of uncertainty. It's going to get me to like make the right proactive choice, right? I shouldn't be too tolerant of that uncertainty. Tolerating it too much is going to tell me, it'll be fine. Work's not that far away. I've never burned a whole, you know, bar of gas getting to work, so nothing unexpected could happen tomorrow, because it hasn't in the last 365 days. Nothing uncertain has happened. 495 fish went down. So because that's a high number, I trust that that's a provable statistic. Like, no, that information is like really worthless. Just because it hasn't happened before, it doesn't guarantee it won't happen, right? I don't want to tolerate that uncertainty too much. I also don't want to be crippled by having no uncertainty tolerance, to the effect that even when my tank is nearly full, or we could be talking about phone battery. Your battery is at 50%, but you'll like stop anything that you're doing to charge it, right? Like, not enough of this in that situation, let's say. But like, you know, oh, I'm wandering around in the woods and my phone's at 25%. It'll be fine. Like, no, you should be uncertain about that. You should do something about that, right? You should prepare more if you know you're going to be in that situation. So it's a balance. It's all a balance, right? To get to a medium where you're able to make good decisions that account for the unexpected, but the unexpected does not paralyze you from, one, making a decision at all, or second guessing all of them. And this is where I bring it back to the whole like antisocial, pro-social type of thing, because like your alignment to more or less of that kind of stuff, you can see how important like the fish's decision was based on like what other fish around them were doing, right? Yes, there is a desire for independence and like wanting to be on top of things. That doesn't necessarily mean antisocial. Antisocial would be like, how can I make a better decision than every other fish? Survive only for myself. I don't care what happens to them. Let me just use their information to get ahead. I don't care if they made a good decision or not. Pro-social behavior would be more along the lines of, how can we all make the best decision with the best information? Can we collaborate so that, you know, the decision we all have to make at the end of this, I don't know, like pushes us towards our common goal or something like that. It's all kind of abstract and like, you know, not so neatly represented, but that's kind of my interpretation of what we just saw. I feel like it has a lot to do with how we experience anxiety, and how that parallels like our investment in either pro or antisocial behaviors. I don't really know what this has to do with mouthwashing yet, other than, yeah, I know that the developers made it, and I'm drawing those parallels, but it looks like there's some sort of expansion. Let's check this out. The last one, and then another. Okay. All right, we're back to being a fish. I'm free. I'm in a piece of popcorn, it seems. Oh. Oh, look at that. I can collect. This is wild. I can collect dead fish parts. Be consumed by me. I'll become the ultimate composite creature. Look at me, look at you. We've done it. We're special. Bigger, shinier, and it can only get better. Your eyes will be my mouth. Your tongue will be my fins. More is more is more is more. Devour your smallness. Fill the void. Okay, I'm going to consume. Why can't I do that? Don't leave me. I don't want to leave you. How do I consume him? Do I need to get bigger myself? Do I need to embiggen myself? Can I roll up here? Oh, yes. There we go. Am I big enough now to consume an entire live creature? Fill the void. Consume him. Oh, I still need more. Okay. I'll be back. And when I become the ultimate fish collective, I will have the most important responsibility of our entire species. What can be more pro-social than becoming one consumed entity? Yes. Yes! I have become big enough to consume. No, I'm not. I guess not yet. Oh, shit. I was just rolling around trying to figure out what the fuck to do, and I didn't realize I could just barge through the door. Well, I can't consume him yet. Well, I guess you're getting left behind then, friend. I may not be powerful enough to take you with me. I couldn't find any more meat. Where am I? Or who am I inside of is a better question, perhaps. Oh my god, it's Curly. It's easy to get on this boat when you have to. You say to yourself, this is just temporary. Just until I get what I need. Got bigger things planned. And suddenly you're 1 year in, 5 years, 10. First, I couldn't stand the constant noise. Now I can't sleep without it. A lot of things can't follow you out here, but it also means the outside world moves on without you. Won't even notice until it's too late. Easy to get on, hard to leave. Well, I certainly can't consume Curly. I can't even consume another fish. So we're... okay, now I see the connection to mouthwashing. And I'm also starting to see what the point of this is, which is for us to get a little more insight into Curly's state of mind. Now, it looks like there's some fishy bits we can collect here, which I'll just do. And I realize while I'm rolling around in these fish guts and just becoming a bigger, better me, I should talk a little bit about how you solve this problem of not having a lot of uncertainty tolerance. If you are a highly anxious person, which I'm sure that many of you are, as I am also, you may be wondering, okay, Brady, that's nice. You taught me a little bit about like why we have anxiety and where the ideal balance of having it versus not having it is, but like, what's the solution? How can I actually more effectively address the problems in my life and have a healthy amount of anxiety and not be overtuned and all of these sorts of things? Well, I will tell you. So, one of the perspectives that I really enjoy and is great for talking about anxiety especially is dialectic behavioral therapy, DBT, okay? Now, DBT takes the perspective that there are basically 4 or 5, depending on like which corner of the method you're reading from. I like the 5-point method. And there's an acronym that tells you there are 5 things that you can do with a problem, okay? Screw the problem, that's what it's called. There are 5 things that you can do. The first thing that you can try to do with a problem that you're feeling anxious about is try to solve it, right? Solve the problem. Is there an obvious solution to it, right? Can you, for example, look at a situation and say, oh, there's something I can do about this. Let's just take Curly, because Curly is the perfect example, right? Could Curly have solved the problem of, let's say, learning about what happened to Anya, right? Well, a solution is kind of not always a clean thing to identify, right? One solution to the problem might have been to delete Jimmy, for example, right? Another solution might have been to keep them from interacting anymore. It might have been to do something sooner, right? Like if we're just looking at a problem, there is a solution to it. And now if you're a very action-oriented person, this is usually where you start, and you will just continue to try to do this. You'll continue to try to solve the problem until something changes, right? That's kind of like Jimmy's attitude. He's a very low insight person. And so as we saw, he constantly felt like this is all you can do. You can solve a problem. Daisuke, get in the vent. Let's fucking poison Swansea, right? I will crash the ship. Like, the solutions are not good, obviously. But you can tell that, like, his model of understanding how do I make myself less anxious is like, solutions. That's it, right? There's no step 2, which is like, oh, this is a complicated issue. There may not be a clear solution, right? So you may look at the next option, which is, can you change how you feel about the problem, right? We kind of talked about this in the mouthwashing playthrough, right? You can change the situation, or you can change how you feel about it. Maybe even a little bit of both, right? Perhaps there isn't a clear solution, right? For example, I am not seeing a clear solution for what I am really supposed to be doing in this situation. I can try to solve the problem by rolling around and bumping into things, and I could get frustrated by that, by not having a clear solution. Or I could try to change how I feel about it, which may be changing my perspective, right? Can I find something in here that is entertaining or fun to do, like, I don't know, bouncing off of these flesh piles and seeing how fast I can twirl my meat blob. That's pretty fun. I've already changed how I feel. I'm no longer frustrated, okay? DBT in action. So if changing how you feel is not enough to solve a problem, which it usually isn't, and again, we're talking about kind of a serious one, but like maybe I should switch to something a little smaller, right? Maybe I'll stick with like the gas tank situation, because it's a pretty common daily occurrence, right? Solve the problem. I can solve that. I just go fill up my gas tank. Problem solved. Let's say I don't have the availability to that or the money for it. Can I change how I feel? Well, I can probably try to rationalize if I am actually in as much danger as I think I am. Usually this is where your other skills are coming in. Your like diffusion of irrational thinking that tells you the worst possible thing is always going to happen, which it usually isn't, right? That's where like your therapeutic skills, this is my area. Can you change how you feel about something in addition to solving the problem? Okay, let's take another look at this. You can radically accept the problem, okay? Now that means basically admitting that there is nothing you can do about it, and changing your feeling isn't going to dramatically change the situation, and so you just have to accept the way it is. This often comes into play working through like a breakup or something, right? People's first strategy after a breakup is like, can I solve the problem? Can I either find someone else in a rebound or convince the other person to take me back? Not always. And usually this is like interpersonal stuff. The solution's not always obvious and requires someone else's decision making, which you have to respect. Can I change how I feel about the problem? Can I get myself out of thinking no one will ever love me? And can I rebound emotionally? Not necessarily by replacing them, but developing some more self-worth. Can I start hitting the gym or whatever people often do, right? That doesn't solve the problem of a breakup, but it does change how you feel about it. It makes you more prepared for the next opportunity. Radical acceptance. Acceptance does not include complaining about the problem. If you ever hear people who say, I'm just accepting this, but they continue to talk about it, they are not accepting it. They have admitted it. They've admitted they are not going to be able to or can't or won't do anything about it, but they haven't accepted it. Radical acceptance means accepting the problem and not continuing to labor over the problem. The problem is what it is. You have to actually move on from it, right? acceptance without complaining, basically, which can be quite healing. The next thing that you can do, though, if you are not satisfied with those, and these are not great options, is you can entertain misery or stay miserable. Okay, you can do nothing. This is the person I was just talking about who, like, is still talking about the breakup 5 years later and still bitching about their ex, but has done nothing to solve the problem, has done nothing to change how they feel about the problem. They're not admitting any of their own wrongdoings or potential faults in the relationship, and they're also not really accepting it because they continue to complain, right? So that's what they're doing. They're doing this about the problem. They're entertaining their own misery and thinking that it entertains you, which it probably doesn't. So you could do that. And the last step is you could actually make it worse. Aside from trying to solve the problem, aside from changing how you feel about it, aside from accepting it, and aside from just being miserable and doing nothing, you could actually do something that makes the problem worse, right? Like getting into another relationship too early and making yourself doubly miserable because it doesn't work out also. Consider Jimmy again. Jimmy doesn't really solve problems, he creates them, and his solutions are bad. He doesn't have any interest in changing how he feels about it, because that would involve understanding other people's feelings and working to help them change them. He certainly does not accept the situation. He continues to convince himself that he's doing great. He's doing a great job, and that he's improving. And he totally entertains misery. He complains a lot, and he also makes it worse. So Jimmy, pretty bad problem solver. Curly, right? Let's think about Curly. And let me actually try to figure out what I'm doing, because someone watching this video is like, holy shit, dude, like, do something rather than roll around in this pit. Okay, I think I'm supposed to try to do this. There we go. I have solved the problem. Oh, and I've collected more meat, which is also a good thing. Oh, I should probably look out for those. Or should I? Do I collect them? Or are they bad? Oh, well, they don't do anything. Well, they are quite fun, though. Okay. Oh, they're part of the cake. Hey! Don't you touch nothing. This is mine. Find your own. I'm having such a great time. Goody goody. Who knew such a thing existed? Who knew how good it could be? Shiny, shiny, shiny. I got the shiny on the inside. Nothing can compare. Come with you? I don't need you to get big. Look at me. The biggest. You ain't got the shiny like I do. You don't understand? Ha! You'll just have to pretend. Oh. Munch, munch. That's happiness. All mine. Can I consume him? I can't consume anything. I'm no good. I'm not a good fish. Don't tell anyone about this place. I wasn't able to consume the first fish. I wasn't able to consume Curly, and I can't consume this guy either. There I go, you know, fucking entertaining my own misery. I'll never be a good enough meat blob to consume another live being. I'll never be complete. I don't want to miss any morsels, though, that could complete me. Munch, munch, this happiness. Yeah, yeah, yeah. How do I consume? Can I do that? Dude, I'm like an idiot with mouthwashing's puzzles. Like, I couldn't understand them really in the main game, and I'm kind of struggling here as well. What the fuck am I supposed to do? I can't consume him. So, to demonstrate for you the model for which I am teaching you, I'm making the problem worse by maybe not actively looking for a solution, but just complaining about how stupid the fucking thing is. I'm doing a little bit of both. I'm entertaining misery, complaining, and I'm also making it worse by making myself feel worse. Well, I guess you could say I'm changing how I feel too, just in a bad way. But the sad thing is people do convince themselves that this is problem solving, that complaining is problem solving, like that makes it better somehow. It doesn't. Okay, I realized that I think I was physically incapable of continuing because I was not big enough, because I didn't consume this guy. And I don't know why it wouldn't let me at first, so I've come back to try again. Oh, never mind. I'm just a fucking idiot. You have to click and hold. I have a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in clinical mental health counseling. 7 years of professional experience in mental health field. Playing video games all my life. I have no explanation for why I'm so bad at these puzzles that are actually dead simple. I have no good explanation. I won't even try to defend it. So anyways, like I was saying, let's look at Curly. Let's look at him. How does he deal with his uncertainty tolerance? And can he effectively use this model that I'm talking about, the screw model? Does he try to solve the problem? Sort of, right? I think Curly's idea of solving problems is he's trying to make things like neutral, right? Like his idea of problem solving is making things like non-confrontational, but sometimes things need confrontation. Like he needed to confront Jimmy. He needed to confront Swansea, you know, on his approach with Daisuke, which was like not always the best. He needed to confront Daisuke and like, you know, show some strong leadership to him as well, right? And he probably needed to confront Anya more as well too. Confronting her in not in a negative way, but like trying to understand her perspective more. Like the confrontation could have very simply been, I can tell there's something serious going on and, you know, I'd like to help with this. Can you tell me more? Rather than like kind of retreating into his avoidance of knowing more about the problem, right? So Curly's like solutions to the problem, yeah, not always the best, right? I don't think that those solutions always helped. Can he change how he feels? Yes. That's sort of what he's doing, but again, not the best way. By avoiding confrontation, by avoiding conflict, he's making himself feel less unease, but you are in a situation of unease, Curly. There's people who have been hurt, and there's something that you can do to help them, right? Changing how you feel should be allowing the tension of the situation to drive better solutions. Radical acceptance. When was this necessary? I would say that probably when he lost his legs, probably when he lost his arms and everything else. Like, this is all he can do in that situation. He can't solve the problem anymore. Hard time changing how he feels, certainly. It didn't seem like he was entertaining misery, like he wasn't making the problem worse and certainly wasn't complaining about it. I think that all he could do in that situation, which is a good example, is he can accept it. This is the situation I'm in. Like, what else can I really do, right? I unfortunately think he applied this to the situation with Jimmy. Like, he just accepted, oh, there's nothing I can do. Not without, you know, getting into some sort of conflict, right? Entertain misery, yeah, he doesn't really do that. And make the problem worse, I would say not on his own. He didn't actively make the problem worse without someone else making a bad decision and him just not responding to it, right? So, yeah, I find his approach more avoidant, whereas Jimmy like kind of starts and stops here at solving the problem and solves it badly. Curly, he takes the solution as being make everyone be at peace, but that's not really like what was even needed at the time. Okay, now that I have figured out how to click and hold, I can consume this other creature and grow in my own powers. I've done it. No! I'm the biggest. I should be eating you. Okay. Now what? And I return with my capture. So consider all of this when you add this to what I was talking about earlier. Like if you're a highly anxious person, right? Consider what you can do about the problems in your life. Solving the problem may just mean getting more information about it, right? Consider what the consequences are of acting, and consider what the consequences are of not acting. We can see that the consequences of not acting in the case of mouthwashing were things got worse, right? Inadvertently, by not trying to solve the problem, Curly made things worse, right? Consider what the consequences of acting are. And try to go through this until you get to a point where, okay, there's a certain point where I have to radically accept my situation, but then come back. Now that I've accepted this part of my problem, is there a solution I can find within that boundary, right? Don't just say, oh, well, there's nothing I can do. Throw my hands up. That's what Curly did, right? There wasn't anything he could do necessarily about the Pony Express going out of business, but that doesn't mean you stop problem solving, right? It doesn't mean you entertain misery. That's kind of what Swansea was doing. Swansea was like, fuck it. Everything is bad. There's really nothing we can do. He didn't actively make the problem worse, but he certainly didn't work to make it better at the beginning. And as you get better at this, you start learning about like, okay, how does Brady solve problems? Is he someone who trusts his intuition and gut, or tries to get a lot more information before he makes a decision, right? How does Brady change how he feels? Well, I do a little bit of self-therapy. I go get my cat, my coping cat, or both of them. You know, I use some of my like cognitive behavioral therapy skills to reduce my anxiety, let's say. And then when I've changed how I felt, I come back and I try to solve the problem. I don't just stop there, right? When do I need to practice acceptance? Usually when I brush up against a decision someone else has made that you know, it's not my responsibility to try to change them. I sometimes have to accept, you know, what they've done. How do I entertain misery? Well, I complain. And how do I make things worse? I avoid the problem and I give the silent treatment, probably, right? You learn about yourself. You learn about like how you tend to respond in these situations. And then you just get better at it. You refine your approach. Oh, I even gotta consume that little guy. Oh. What is this? Ah! That actually scared me. Where am I now? Oh, it's Curly. Can I consume him yet? Do you want to hear a joke? 3 men are in the hospital. The first man cries, I lost both my hands. They told me I'll never work again. The second man wails, I lost both my legs. They told me I'll never work again. The third man? He rejoices, I lost my hearing. They'll never be able to tell me I'm fired again. Ha 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 ha. Good one, huh? Oh, geez. Let's try riding this. Okay. Okay. There we go. Now what? More to consume. Ah, the mouthwash. This is all the mouthwash Swansea gobbled up. I got some more fish with me. And now I'm just casually picking up whole beings. I'm no longer satisfied by the tiny morsels of fish heads. My appetite has grown for whole creatures. I want to go back. Why'd you have to come here? We belonged in that other place. I want to go up or down. Wait, no. Or was it left or right? I was stupid to think I could be different. Sure, it was scary, but now I'm all alone. Look at you. Take me back there. I can help. I can see perfectly clearly. Nothing can touch us if we're together. You're just like me. Take me with you. Okay. Everything goes around and round again. Okay. Shall I go back through the portal? Am I big enough to consume Curly? Ooh. My rotundness is growing. I can't even fit in these small portals anymore. I have embiggened myself. Next comes spite. First, it stares back at you in the mirror. Then it's those around you. They're wearing your face, and you theirs. You know, he joined because of me. What were the words I used? Oh, right. It's a great opportunity. Easy money. Just a trip or two. Someone else's words in my mouth. Hey, worked on me as well, right? Change hurts, but worse things fester for a long time. I told him as much. I tried. I really did. We're defined by our past, but not slaves to it. We said tomorrow will be different. Today would be the last day. The last one. The last one, and then another. And another. And another, and another. It's time to consume you, Curly. For my own sake.
Mouthwash! Mouthwash!
Whew. Bringing back all the memories. Okay. Whoops. I'm afraid you weren't supposed to see all that. Never mind it. Don't give it a thought. Not a one. Hey now. I got something that'll really flap your fins, partner. Wishlist or play mouthwashing on Steam. It's available now. It'll be a swell time all around. Other games ain't worth your time. I know that if nothing else. I look out for you, my buddy, my pal. Same as always. Tell everyone. You see, not wishlisting or playing mouthwashing is a clear sign of weak character and demonstrates a lack of initiative to succeed. Alrighty now, don't let me catch you without even a wish list. Not doing so would practically be a crime. See what I'm saying? I'd hate to see my friendo here get angry with me. Whew, boy, does it rile him up something fierce. Splendid! I knew I could count on you. Only good times ahead. Okay, well, I've already played mouthwashing, so I've done my due diligence. Mouth parasite. And I guess that's the end. Well, this has been an interesting addendum to the mouthwashing story. And I hope you enjoyed our discussion of choice, anxiety, and how that affects our personality and character. You know, when I think about all this stuff, I always come back to, like, there's a lot you can know about skills and techniques and frameworks and, you know, theory and all kinds of stuff about how to deal with problems and are there good models of decision making and how much anxiety is good and all that stuff. But the truth is that there's never like a definitive answer to any of it. And I think that that's indicative of the whole problem of anxiety, is that we wish that there was. We wish that there was a clear answer, you know, to what should I do with my life? How is my future going to turn out? Is this person the right one for me? Could I have made a better decision to help someone who needed it? I am in situations every day of my life, you know, as a therapist, where I wonder about the potential alternatives, and if the solutions that I either come to myself or help people find in their lives are the right ones. And when it comes to life, you don't always know. And you also don't always get to see how it turns out. But something I have definitely learned, and I think games like mouthwashing demonstrate, is that there are consequences to not making decisions. There are consequences to making decisions. There's good decisions and bad decisions in every situation. But a lot of this comes down to, like, do you have a solid foundation of good character? Because often that's what you need to make the right decisions. And it does mean that you actually have to then make them, right? Curly has a good character, but he doesn't act on it all the time. Jimmy does not have a good character, and he acts on it all the time. So if you want to work on yourself, I think you need a little bit of both, right? You do need a good foundation of good morals, good values, an understanding of the consequences of your actions on other people. But you also know how to assess what the right decisions are. And sometimes, if there isn't a solution, you need to do something different. You need to change your feelings about it. You need to accept that there are some things you can't change. There is always an option to complain and entertain misery and make things worse. But there is also always an option to accept what you can change and then look for solutions to the things that you can. At the end of the day, none of us fucking know whether up or down is absolutely going to be the better decision. But we try to make the best choices we have with the information that we have. Work on yourself, be a good person, and I don't know. I try to be optimistic. More times than not, you'll make good decisions. And if you don't, you'll know how to apologize for them and make the right one next time. And that's how fish is made.